Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We'll commence now. حضورنا الكريم، الرجاء الجلوس في مقاعدكم. سنبدأ الآن. شكرا لكم.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Korea. True partners in innovation and economic growth. With trade links that trace back to the 7th century. We reflect with pride on a bilateral partnership that propelled Saudi Arabia to fuel Korea's miracle on the Han River, while Korean expertise and human resources have been instrumental in our miraculous transformation. From a desert nation to the thriving G20 economy we are today. As well as looking back with pride, we look forward with excitement. Trade between our countries reached $43 billion in 2022. With more than 160 Korean companies issued with investment licenses in Saudi Arabia, exploring opportunities across industries such as construction, retail, and industry transformation. From the Saudi-Korean tour for investment opportunities in transport and logistics, to Riyadh's vibrant KCON Music and Culture Festival, our partnership is flourishing beyond oil. Together, we're shaping a world of endless possibilities.
One, two, three. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Annyeong haseyo. Good afternoon, everyone, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed leaders from the worlds of business and politics. It is with great pleasure I welcome you to the Saudi Korean Investment Forum. I'm Muhammad Dakhil, a Saudi journalist and TV presenter, and it's my great pleasure to be your host for this exciting and promising event. This forum serves as a platform to strengthen and celebrate the 61-year strategic partnership between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Korea, and of course, the promising future that lies ahead for both countries. Throughout this event, we will delve into the vast investment prospects and highlight the remarkable progress achieved through joint investment collaboration between the two countries. Before we proceed, I kindly encourage you to download the official forum application, which can be obtained through this QR code that will appear on screen. Yes, and you have it also in your badges, so you can have a glimpse into the forum's agenda and all the sessions. And for the translation devices, I just want to highlight this: Channel 1 for Arabic, Channel 5 for English, and Channel 10 for Korean. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to officially open our proceedings, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Ibrahim Al-Barak, Assistant Minister of Investment. The stage is yours, Your Excellency.
Assalamu alaikum, مساكم الله بالخير جميعا. Excellencies, honorable members of the Korean delegation, colleagues from the Saudi government and businesses, esteemed guests, good afternoon. On behalf of the government of Saudi Arabia, it is a pleasure and a privilege to welcome you to the Saudi-Korean Investment Forum. A special thanks to Mr. Ryo Jin-roy, Chairman of the Federation of Korean Industries, the co-organizer of this event, as well as Mr. Kim Tae-hyung, Commissioner of Invest Korea. I grew up in Jubail Industrial City, so I stand before you today as one witness of many of the great collaborations between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Korea that have shaped my beautiful city. This forum follows several recent high-level diplomatic and commercial missions between Saudi Arabia and Korea that reflects deepening cooperation between our nations. It coincides with the state visit to Riyadh by His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol, President of the Republic of Korea, ahead of his participation at Saudi Arabia's flagship investment forum, the Future Investment Initiative. It comes only weeks after His Excellency Bang Mong-kyu, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, received a Saudi delegation led by the Ministry of Investment in Saudi Arabia to bolster cooperation across automotive, gaming, and infrastructure sectors. It also happens only months after the Korean-Saudi Investment Forum in 2022, culminating in 26 investment agreements nearing $30 billion. The trade links between our peoples are strong and run deep, dating back to the 7th century. Our modern commercial relationship, which spans over 6 decades, has helped our countries transform themselves into the G20 economies they are today. Bilateral trade now stands at $43 billion in 2022, 60% higher than 2021. Korean investment in Saudi Arabia dates back to 1981, when the Saudi Steel Pipe Company became the first Saudi-Korean joint venture. Today, the number of Korean companies operating in the kingdom stands at 164 companies. In 1995, Aramco affiliate S-Oil was the first Saudi company to make an investment in Korea, and last year announced it is investing $7 billion to build one of the world's largest petrochemical crackers in Korea. These and other deals have made Saudi Arabia Korea's second largest foreign direct investor. The Saudi-Korean Vision 2030 Committee, created on the sidelines of the G20 summit in September 2016, has been the driver of this and many other bilateral business deals. As a part of the program today, International Maritime Industries and HD Hyundai Construction and Equipment will discuss their successful collaboration. Today's forum will also explore new avenues of Saudi-Korean cooperation. We will discuss opportunities in construction, clean energy, automotive, advanced manufacturing, agriculture, and SMEs. And through panel sessions on the future of cities and the future of industries, we will discuss how our countries can push the boundaries of technology for mutual benefit. From the Korean side, we will hear from Invest Korea and our co-organizer, the Federation of Korean Industries, as well as from industry-leading Korean companies. From the Saudi side, presentations will be delivered by Invest Saudi and our Economic Cities and Special Zones Authority, in addition to leading Saudi companies. And we will leave the best for last. A special address by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol, Excellencies, members of the Korean and Saudi delegation, and distinguished guests. Korea has long been an economic powerhouse and is cementing its position as one of the world's most powerful nation brands. The companies present here today have become standard bearers for technology, advanced manufacturing, and other industries. Their brands are recognized and preferred by the Saudi consumer. And Saudi Arabia has earned its place in the spotlight as well. Since launching Vision 2030 7 years ago, our GDP has risen 66%, our FDI has quadrupled, and last year we became the fastest growing economy in the G20. Under our national investment strategy, our investment opportunities will exceed $3.3 trillion by the end of this decade. And leading Korean firms have been eager to participate. So in closing, Korea and Saudi Arabia are powerful economies, and when we join forces, we achieve great things. On behalf of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Ministry of Investment, I thank you for coming and encourage you to explore the full range of business opportunities our governments and our companies can offer each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The Saudi Korean Investment Forum indeed serves as a platform to build upon this success, bringing together key stakeholders, investors, innovators, and industry leaders from both countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to welcome Mr. Jin Roy Ryu, representing FKI, the Federation of Korea Industries. The stage is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your wonderful speech. 존경하는 참석자 여러분, 먼저 한국 사절단을 따뜻하게 환대해 주신
I would like to thank
이브라임
my dear
Al-Mubarak
Saudi
차관님과
friends and Assistant Minister Ibrahim Al-Mubarak and all the Saudi friends for warm hospitality to the Korean delegation and also to Korean business community for traveling far to accompany us. I would like to also thank you for joining us in renewing the friendship between the two countries that has lasted for 6 years. And my special thanks goes to the Ministry of Investment Saudi Arabia. Distinguished guests, Saudi and Korea has achieved so much. We have built strong relationship and trust over the past 60 years. During the construction boom in the Middle East in the 1970s, Korea was able to develop its construction and infrastructure sector as a key national industry thanks to large Saudi construction projects. That was a major driving force behind South Korea's rise to the economic powerhouse that it is today. Saudi Arabia also benefited from the major infrastructure built by South Korea, which laid the foundation for its splendid economic growth. Today, more than 50 years later, Saudi Arabia is still the largest source of Korean overseas construction business and our largest trading partner in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, Saudi Arabia and Korea have a very special common thing, and both countries have the DNA for dreamers. And that is the power of great leaders to dream big and great companies and people to realize them. Saudi Arabia is making greatness out of nothing in the midst of desert sandstorm, and South Korea has risen from the war-torn ruins to become an economic powerhouse in less than half a century. I'm convinced that if these two great nations join forces, we can set great new models of cooperation that will serve as an example to the rest of the world. In that regard, I would like to mention and emphasize a few things. First, I look forward to expanding our economic cooperation in infrastructure and construction, which is a symbol of our bilateral economic cooperation, to giga projects such as NEOM City. The two countries already have a long history of cooperation and trust in the field. Few other partners understand Saudi Arabia's vision for the future as well as Korea and are better positioned to help make history with these mega infrastructure projects. Second, Saudi Arabia and South Korea has same vision in common. And South Korea has a global competitiveness in hydrogen and nuclear power, and together we can lead the way in the hydrogen economy and renewable energy sector. And we highly appreciate Saudi Arabia's vision to transform itself into a carbon-neutral, environmental-friendly, and high-tech economy. If the two countries can come together, we will be the leaders in eco-friendly economy. Saudi Arabia will continue to be the guardian of global energy security in the future, and Korean business community will work together with you. Third, we look forward to deepening our cooperation in the future high-tech industries such as ICT, smart cities, and mobility. With Saudi insight into the next 100 years and Korea's advanced technology capabilities, our two countries can create great synergies. Honorable attendance from both countries. I've heard that there is a Saudi proverb that says, "What is coming is better than what has gone." I think this is a saying that fits, among other things, the DNAs of our two countries, Korea and Saudi Arabia, which is they never dwell on the past and always look to the future. I hope today will inspire two countries to realize amazing dreams together. If the two countries can work together, I'm sure we will achieve a lot more to come. I would like to also wish you every success in the 7th FFI, which will open on the 24th of this month. Thank you. Shukran jazilan.
Thank you, Mr. Jin, for your insightful remarks and valuable perspective of Korea's most powerful business organization, the FKI. And now, esteemed guests, we will transition into a series of informative presentations as His Excellency addressed in his speech, showcasing the constantly growing investment landscape here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Korea. So please join me in welcoming Asad Al-Jumu'i, Jisri Initiative Managing Director, MISA, for the first presentation of today's agenda.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome from the vibrant city of Riyadh, and thank you very much for being here with us today. My name is Asad Al-Jumu'i. I am a senior advisor to Minister Al-Falih, the Saudi Minister of Investment. I'm also the managing director of the Global Supply Chain Resilience Initiative. This presentation has two parts. We will quickly walk you through some of the salient features of Vision 2030 to explain to you the transformational nature of this program, and then we'll move on to the second segment, which is a very dear subject, and it became the talk of the hour recently, I would say 3 years ago, when COVID-19 hit, and all countries alike started mobilizing their capabilities to try to avoid having a second similar incident. So without any further ado, Vision 2030 is basically the kingdom's transformational program, culturally, socially, and economically. It was launched by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince back in 2016 with the sole objective of transforming the kingdom and diversifying the economy, especially away from oil. So, by virtue of this, it dictates moving away from state-led to private sector-led, from having the oil-driven economy to a productivity-driven economy, and that fills right into the objective of the program, which is a diversification away from the oil revenue. So some of the salient features, it's hinged mainly on three pillars: a vibrant society, a thriving economy, and an ambitious nation. These are qualitative measures, but if you want to put some quantitative measures to describe them more, it would be like, how can we decrease unemployment from 12% to 7%? How can we improve home ownership to 70% up from 47%? How can we improve the non-oil revenue of the government from $43 billion to $200+ billion? Something like, how can we turn the PIF from being merely a lending organization when it started back in 2016 at $160 billion of asset into a $2 trillion asset managed under its custody. These are some of the salient nature of what this program is all about. How are we tracking? So in some of the objectives, we're well under our way. If you look at the woman participation in the workforce, it was set to be 30% by 2030. We are at more than 35% today. So we are well under our way in achieving our objectives. It's worth mentioning PIF today sits on a $700 billion of assets under its custody, again, with a target of achieving $2 trillion by 2030. Just like any investment roadmap, the National Investment Strategy has four main pillars. The first one talks about the investment opportunities. And by virtue of this, it discusses how can we facilitate, develop, evolve, and execute viable and economically feasible investment opportunities. The second component is the investor, which is the subject of this whole ecosystem. How can we nurture the investor and make the environment conducive for viable investments? And then we talk about the funding. How can we allow accessibility to financial instruments, long-term, low-interest loans, access to cash, incentives, what have you? And finally, the all-encompassing environment. How can we make the investment environment in Saudi Arabia conducive and competitive to the investment plan that we plan to take on? So just as a segue to the second part of the presentation, I would like to link the Global Supply Chain Resilience Initiative and show you exactly where it sits, rightly so, under the investment opportunities pillar, which we will come to talk to shortly. So the question is, why do businesses choose Saudi Arabia? For simple reasons. When I described at the introduction that the government is forcefully moving away from state-led to private sector-led, that means privatization. So some of the biggest privatization initiatives are happening today in the kingdom, which opens up immense opportunities for great companies like the ones in the room today of the great Korean country to jump on and to contribute to those privatization efforts. Localization of value chains, which will be the subject of the second part of the presentation. The Giga and Mega project, I think Nobody has overlooked what's going on in Saudi Arabia in terms of mega and giga project. NEOM, Amala, Red Sea, Qiddiya, all these are becoming the change and the engine of diversification and economic stimulus for companies to consider those as great investment opportunities. So just to summarize, to show the backing up of the leadership, in excess of 600 regulations regarding investment, 80% of them to facilitate the business have been executed to show the seriousness of the leadership of this country to activate the investment environment and to attract investors into it. So, where can you find everything that I just described and much more? Please visit us at Invest Saudi. Browse the website, look at the investment opportunities, see what are the programs that are being undertaken by the government. Reach out to us. You will have sectorally managing directors who will be responding to your queries about your sector interests. So don't feel shy to visit the Invest Saudi website. The second topic, which I have the honor of personally leading, the Global Supply Chain Resilience Initiative. If you take the first letter of every word, it pronounces in Arabic as Jisri, which means my bridge. So His Royal Highness the Crown Prince launched this program with the objective of making the kingdom the bridge of choice to contribute to supply chain resilience and to counter the supply chain disruption. So what's the mandate of this program? We can summarize it in 4 main points. First of all, because it's linked to the National Investment Strategy, its mandate is to attract foreign direct investment, so FDI. In what areas? In manufacturing and services, in where the kingdom has a competitive advantage and it can contribute strongly to those opportunities, and most importantly, to balance the export scale. We would like to become an exporting nature. When you become an industrial nature, that's when you become an exporting nature. So these are the 4 salient features of the program mandate. This presentation has 3 main segments. The first one talks about the global supply chain scene. What are the forces that are continuously shaping and redesigning global supply chains? And how does it move from the conventional way we know it to the new way? And we will explain that. The second part answers the question, why do we think Saudi Arabia is a strong contender in the global supply chain domain? And the last one briefly walks you through in the methodical process that we adopt in executing the program. What are the criteria that we take on to shortlist, to evaluate, and to outreach opportunities related to Jisri, mandate to investors? Just an illustrative figure. I don't think this is any news to anyone in this room, yet it's very profound. It shows the intricacies and the complexities of supply chains. Supply chains for many decades has been associated with logistics. So it's about transportation, warehousing, distribution, consumption, and then recycling. The program is not focused at the logistical piece of supply chain. It's focused on the manufacturing piece of supply chain. It's the creation of the product itself, not really the making it available to the customer. That comes, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, at the tail end of the value chain. We're focused mainly on the head and the center section of the value chains. So think about any of these nodes as being semiconductor industry, and if it feeds into the video gaming industry and the car making industry, if any of these cells gets disrupted, it will disrupt 2 industries alike, although they are completely different in nature. That's when we identify that cell as needing to be fortified and enhanced, because the disruption of that will create a bigger disruption in industry. So that's the takeaway from this chart. Saudi Arabia will be selective in where to play, and that will be driven by the competitive advantage that Saudi Arabia has. Everybody registered with COVID-19. So if you talk to anyone about supply chain, they will explain it to you from the context of COVID-19. I was not able to find personal protective equipment. I was not able to find medical devices. I was not able to find medicine, food. But during our research and when we came to launch the program, we've registered many different sources of powers that are reshaping supply chain that are not COVID-19. So as you look, the first category talks about black swan events, which is the force majeures, things beyond the capability of human nature. COVID-19 falls in that category. But beyond this, there is trade barriers, protectionist measures, what's going on between polarized economies and how they are countering each other's, preventing companies from accessing their markets. That is creating a disruptive force for those companies to look for alternative markets. And that's where GISRI, as a program, would try to scan and look for those opportunities. Look at the geopolitical tension. That's a disruptive force. The misfortune between Russia and Ukraine. We immediately saw the disruption in food value chain when wheat was not able to be shipped out of Ukraine. Titanium. Russia is one of the biggest producers and manufacturers of titanium, and it's used in many advanced industries, in aviation, in medical devices, in submarines. And when that went away, because Russia was under sanctions, that was a gap in the supply. So companies were scrambling for alternative sources. So that's a disruptive force that is not COVID-19. Look at the sustainability agenda. What do we mean by this? It's a concerted effort that the whole world is moving away from conventional ways of energy into renewable energy. That has created a whole host of new supply chains, electrification, e-vehicles, batteries, ESS, electrical storage systems, what have you. So that's a concerted effort, yet it's a disruptive force. It created a new whole supply chain and industries around those. Finally, technological advancement. So we all know 3D printing and advanced manufacturing. That has also disrupted the supply chains because it allowed countries who are less technologically advanced to gain access to those technologies and be into industries that otherwise they would not be able to be in. So the takeaway from this, supply chain is not about COVID-19. So when you ask the question, why are we talking about supply chain although COVID-19 is behind our backs? It's a continuous process. It's a continuous subject because of these continuous forces. So classically, it's been about cost leadership. How can my product be the lowest possible cost in order for me to compete? After everything I described, it's obvious, it's evident that that's not the only determinant of success. You have to add to it sustainability. So it's not a luxury, it's a compliance. You have to comply with ESG requirements, which is sustainability, which will drive your cost up. Resilience. How can I make sure that I don't go through, again, another shockwave like COVID-19 by having a central manufacturing location that I'm relying on, which means redundancy, which means additional cost. So combine together all these, set what we think the new mindset of how to conduct business. And by the way, before moving away, we say that Saudi Arabia offers low cost, low risk, and low carbon on all these three dimensions, as I will come to explain in the following slides. Everything I described is causing the shift between the classical supply chain model, the central manufacturing location, distributing globally, into a more regionalized and localized clusters. So countries now alike are trying to mobilize their capabilities, creating their own regional clusters of supply chains to be self-sufficient, to be competitive, and to be part of the global supply chain from within their regions. So the second segment, again, to answer the question, then why do we think Saudi Arabia is talking about this subject? Because of the many reasons I will come to explain. His Excellency, the Assistant Minister, mentioned the growth of the Saudi economy. Every country, every company would like to be located in a growing economy, something that offers growth opportunity. It's fast growing. Saudi Arabia registered a double-digit growth in the fourth quarter of last year, the fastest growing economy in the G20, and it is by far the largest economy in the Middle East. All this substantiates the strength of the Saudi economy to investors. The second component, the sustainability agenda. Saudi Arabia already announced that 50% of its energy mix will be from renewable resources by 2030. So we are already positioning the country where the future is dictating. Everybody now is scrambling to become compliant with ESG, trying to find renewable resources that are sustainable, reliable, and cheap. And that's what this is all about. So we are positioning ourselves there from today. the industrial infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, and the regulatory infrastructure all together makes for a great environment for investors to come and explore the investment in Saudi Arabia. Finally, all companies alike are concerned by input factors such as labor, energy, and raw material, which I will showcase some of those examples in the following slides. This is actual. This is base economy. No subsidies, no support by government. This is how much the commercial price of electricity is. 4.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a conventional energy. And it can go even more lower for a special committee in the government that looks into energy-intensive industries. So if they request a more subsidized price, it can go even low, although it's already low and very competitive compared to the rest of the world. Look at the gas price, less than half a cent per kilowatt hour. The labor cost in Saudi Arabia, we may not be the best, but combined with everything I mentioned earlier, that's a great value proposition, very hard to compete with. Renewable energy production cost, this is actual. 1 cent per kilowatt hour is the cost of production of solar power in Saudi Arabia. We took this from the National Industrial Strategy. So they identified $1.3 trillion of unexploited and unexplored metals and mines. So these are endowments in the ground yet to be explored and exploited. If you take phosphate and aluminum, Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest and largest producers and exporters of phosphate and aluminum, a very important metal in aviation and in electrification and in the car industry. And phosphate, of course, fertilizers that goes into the agriculture business. On the right side, needless to say, the rank of Saudi Arabia when it comes to crude oil, petrochemical, and gas. The industrial map of Saudi Arabia, I mentioned in excess of 40 industrial cities. What does that mean to the industrial company looking at Saudi Arabia? It means lower capex and lower opex and faster ramp up when you're located into those because it's already a pre-existing infrastructure that you get to enjoy right away when you're plugged in. The connectedness of the country. So by nature, Saudi Arabia is positioned between 3 continents. So you have Asia, Europe, and Africa, which accessibility of a densely populated consumer market is a great value proposition from Saudi Arabia. Yet the connectedness, if you know that 13% of the global trade comes through the Red Sea, and Saudi Arabia has large seaports, King Abdullah Port, Jeddah Port, Jazan Port, along the coastline of the Red Sea, where 13% of the global trade is coming through. That's a fantastic value proposition for companies to be in Saudi, in addition to the connectedness within the country, moving people, moving goods, moving material. The railroads, the seaports, the airports, and the roads are very strongly connected, giving a very strong infrastructure to the investors. The last portion of this presentation is how do we move about executing the program itself? So on the left side, it's just the classical 12 sectors I described earlier from the National Industrial Strategy. What sets this program apart is what's on the right side of the screen. It's the filters that we take and apply to those sectors to try to come up with the GISRI. Remember, that's a Global Supply Chain Resilience Initiative, GISRI-related opportunities. So if you take climate change and sustainability as a filter and apply it to the automotive industry, it gives you opportunities like electrification, EV batteries, electric vehicles, ESS. If you apply the same thing to the metals industry, it gives you green steel, green aluminum. So just to give you an idea that it's a methodical process, very scientific. We have a whole host of criteria that we go by to try to come up with the very disruptive, very impactful opportunities that we can take it on as GISRI opportunities. Finally, this is very important. This is the investment, the incentives ecosystem in the investment system that was launched recently. This is active today. It's not theoretical. It's being practiced. Investors are applying for incentives. They're being challenged. They're being asked to look at their financial models. They're negotiated, and then they're approved and disapproved on a case-by-case basis, subject to the investment opportunity between hands. So if you look at it at the top, it says financial to non-financial. which describes the nature of those different categories. So it ranges from giving you a grant to changing a regulation that might be affecting your industry to unlock it or to make it more lucrative. So we urge you to look into this and to check out how are we serious into executing the whole investment ecosystem that was launched recently by His Excellency, the Saudi Minister of Investment. Finally, in summary, we just say that this program comes in an ever disruptive time. We need these kind of opportunities and initiatives so much to counter all the challenges that we're facing together globally on supply chains. An eye catcher is the 10 billion Saudi riyals, the $2.7 billion that was allocated by the leadership of this country as a fast-tracked incentive for the first phase of this program. So that's a fast-track source of funding for a case-by-case basis. When the investor comes to us, we will expedite and fast-track the investment opportunity through that fund, so we don't have to go scramble for sources of incentives. And finally, the objective is to collectively have Saudi Arabia become a contributor to solving the problem of supply chain resilience and disruption globally with the likes of the great Korean companies and other countries as well. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for listening.
That was promising. Thank you, Asad, for your greatly informative presentation, providing a comprehensive overview of game-changing, exciting investment opportunities that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has to offer to the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Majid Al-Atishan, Director General Special Economic Zone, Global Business Partner, EXA. The stage is yours, Majid.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, these are indeed exhilarating times for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of South Korea, which is ignited by the momentous movement of our Vision 2030, resulting in such a magnitude international endeavors such as the one that we are in today. The vision, with its various spectrums as well for its various tracks, has concluded in launching 5 new special economical zones in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, demonstrated by a remarkable achievement of its economical growth. As Your Excellency, Assistant Minister for the Ministry of Investment has just mentioned, Saudi Arabia is enjoying a remarkable performance from the various vector economical aspects of itself. Now, I myself, I am from the Special Economical Zones, or Economical Cities and Special Zones Authority, and we will be gladly walking you through today into what we have prepared and developed as a, I'm sorry. Next, please. Next. Now, why invest in the Kingdom Special Economical Zone? Next. The Kingdom has developed its availability of the 4 or the 5 new special economical zones on a 7 main pillars that provides a highly competitive advantage for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, being itself as a superpower when it comes into the energy and international energy policy. Saudi Arabia also enjoys a unique strategic location, a fantastic and highly performance financial institution sector, as well for a very competitive cost when it comes into doing the business, reflected by first-class return on investment on the various large and huge investment opportunities that the Kingdom offers. As well, the Kingdom is building and continuing a very first of its kind, hugely and very agile reforms in its various regulatory framework as well as for the legislative process. Such example of reforms in our legislative process, where we do have various number of committees supported and supervised by our Ministry of Investment, coming into providing different types of incentives that are bespoke and designed specifically for each different industry that we are building the opportunities for it. In our special economical zones, our regulatory framework, when it comes into introducing the various investment that we are offering today, it tackles reductions and quite large reductions when it comes to the corporate taxation. It also eliminates and takes out any kind of taxation related to duty or to value-added tax, as well easing and providing a very flexible framework and requirements when it comes to the labor market and the hiring requirements that are imposed by our various agencies. Saudi Arabia has introduced 4 new special economical zones at the early of this year, as of May 2023, with the one which was introduced of last year. We have 2 which are adjacent to the west coast, providing an excellent access to the MENA region, as well either going up north to approach the European markets or to have a first-class gateway into the African continent. On our east coast, we do have also provided a special economical zone that is focusing on the maritime industry, providing a state-of-the-art facilities within. The other 2 are located within our middle region, and one has to do with the cloud services, and then we do have our integrated logistical zone that's within our King Khalid International Airport. By large, King Abdullah Economical City is our largest special economical zone, where we have a dedicated 60 square kilometers of real estate. It enjoys the incentives that were just presented by the framework, reduction in the taxation, easing of labor requirements, and focusing on a number of sectors, being from automobile industries all the way to the logistical services and distribution. Some of our leading and landed investment in the zone, we do have Lucid, Seer, and Himma, and this is quite something which we have presented very uniquely for Saudi Arabia Special Economical Zone, where we're introducing investment opportunity in an ecosystem approach, meaning or entailing that whatever opportunity that's being developed, it usually takes into consideration a full value creation chain spectrum, which would reflect in a multitude and a magnitude of opportunities for our investors. Our second special economical zone is Ras Al Khair, which is located and which we call short as Raqas. It's on a 20 square kilometers of landscape or of a real estate. It also offers a first-class and the state-of-the-art manufacturing facility focusing on maritime industries, shipyard building, also with all the acquainted and the associated operation and maintenance, as well for rig operations, being either manufacturing for these rigs being offshore or onshore. Next, please. Some of our leading investors, we do have the international maritime industries, McDermott, McKean, BioSteel, and all of those, they present a various and different aspect of the maritime industries that are located and hosted by Ras Al Khair. Next. Jazan is our third special economical zone, relying on a real estate of the size of almost 25 square kilometers. It is located on our southern western coast, and it presents a gateway to the African continent. It also has a state-of-the-art port. It's next to our petrochemical complex. And what really brings the uniqueness of Jazan Special Economical Zone is that it provides a platform and a gateway to the Belt and Road Initiative, where it offers a number of opportunities in connecting to the various initiatives that are with the Belt and Road, as well access for the different markets that are connected with the Belt and Road. Next, please. Next. Our final special economical zone that we're going to be addressing today is cloud computing, where we have offered a dedicated space at King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, where we have provided a continuous guarantee of high amounts of energy that's always available with an extremely first-class competitive rate. Also, what makes it quite very unique is that whatever entity operates or starts its office within the Cloud City Special Economical Zone, it would enable it to have its data center anywhere in the kingdom. Kindly note that Saudi Arabia is developing its special economical zone according to market need and investor need. These are all driven by the need of the investor and the type of the industry itself. And that was the reason in providing the access for the cloud infrastructure to be placed anywhere in the kingdom to provide the requirement of the market itself as well for the investors that they were usually focusing on. Some of our leading investors within our special economical zones for cloud services are Microsoft and Oracle. And finally, for anything related to the macroeconomic as well for the microeconomic in-depth outlook regarding Saudi Arabia's special economical zone, we have provided a amount of literature that allows you to go into it and to augment any kind of a investment decision that needs to be carried out by your organization. We at the Economical Cities and Special Zone Authorities are always available to entertain and to support the development of these cases for your organization, and we'll be more than happy to acquire any inquiries. We do have our booth available at this forum, and we will be more than happy to entertain these inquiries. At the end, I do hope for everyone to enjoy a very fruitful forum, and good luck hunting these investment opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Majid, for your valuable insights into the special economic zones in Saudi Arabia, emphasizing the advantages and opportunities, of course, presented for both local and international investors. Next up, please join me in welcoming our speaker, Dr. Abdullah Al-Ahmari, CEO, IMI, International Maritime Industries. Dr. Abdullah, welcome. The stage is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakum Allah al-khair. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's my pleasure to present to you today one of the success stories of collaboration between Saudi and Korean companies. This is on behalf of King Salman International Complex for Maritime Industries and Services. Our localization approach actually is in line with the Saudi Vision 2030, and it has 4 components: to maximize the local content, to improve export competitiveness, create job opportunities, and attract foreign and strategic investments. We are leveraging Kingdom of Saudi Arabia competitive advantage in 3 areas. The first one is that the level of our seaborne trade represent actually more than 6% of the global trade. The second, we are positioned in very important region with access to global trade routes. The third one is the increasing offshore activity within the region that will give us more demand for the maritime services and products. This is King Salman International Maritime Complex for Maritime and Services. Basically, will be supporting the vision in creating more than 80,000 direct and indirect jobs. The contribution to the GDP is $17 billion by year 2030, and import substitution of more than $12 billion by year 2030. The complex has three major companies. IMI is the anchor project for the complex. We have another opportunity or another collaboration with the Korean company in terms of McKean for the engine manufacturing. And we have third company which is producing and manufacturing the offshore platforms. Our success actually in IMI is around the strong partners that we have. We have 4 partners in IMI. The first one is Saudi Aramco, 40%, Bahri, 20%, HHI, 20%, and Lambrel for 20%. We have Lambrel for the offshore rigs, and we have as technical partner, and we have HHI for the vessels and in support or offshore support vessels as technical partner. We have guaranteed offtake agreements with Saudi Aramco and Bahri for a series of maritime products. The yard, which is the second largest in the world and the largest yard in the MENA region, is being constructed or built by Saudi Aramco by funding from the government. And our source of liquidity is a $1 billion loan from SIDF. We have succeeded to attract foreign investment already. A total of $1.2 billion contributed by different companies. McDermott $500 million, Lambrel $340 million, and HHI, which is Hyundai Heavy Industries from Korea, in 2 areas. The first one is about $340 million for the partnership with IMI, and $52 million as part of McKean, which is an engine manufacturing company. Also, we have potential for more investments to support the ecosystem and the supply chain around IMI and King Salman complex in Ras Al Khair, with a total value of approximately $4.6 billion. We have been working with HHI in several areas, but I would like to share with you and highlight 2 major areas. The first one is new shipbuilding and MRO. We have succeeded to actually deliver the first very large crude carrier, or VLCC, called Raya. That was delivered to our client, Bahri, in October 2021. During that strategic project, we have been working with HHI to run our on-job training for approximately 100 engineers and industrial workers, where they have on-job training assignments with HHI in Korea in order to learn and try to transfer the technology. As we speak today, we have about 23 secondees from HHI working with IMI, and some of them are attending with me today. The second area that we have been working on is the dual fuel technology. This is an initiative to help our clients to meet the requirements for the environment. So we have been working with HHI on this initiative to implement green technology initiatives. And HHI already agreed to license IMI for dual fuel vessels such as bulk chemicals, tankers, VLCCs, and so on, to be built actually in Ras Al Khair in IMI facility. Where we stand in the construction of the yard, we are about 86% done in the yard. And these are some photos from the yard itself, showing our offices, some of our accommodations, and some of the major facilities that we have, such as the dry docks and major facilities for the shipbuilding area. Another area that I would like to share with you today is the McKean. McKean is another JV between Saudi Aramco, HHI, and Dussur. And the scope for this company is to establish manufacturing facility within the kingdom, and especially in Ras Al Khair, to manufacture two-stroke and four-stroke engines that will be supplied to the manufacturing facility for the maritime. Already licensed by HHI for McKean, the two-stroke marine engine, and also four-stroke engines. The facility itself will be ready and completed by Q3 2025. And the annual capacity of this company is 30 engines, two-stroke, and 235 engines for four-stroke engine. Also, I think already HHI signed an agreement with McKean for the support within the region, and also McKean was awarded big contract actually last month for Jeddah airports. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, for this informative presentation highlighting the significant developments and advancements in the maritime industry here in Saudi Arabia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear from the Korean side. For our next presentation, it's my pleasure to welcome Tae-Hyung Kim, Commissioner of Invest Korea, who will delve into the sustainable future of Korea. The stage is yours. Welcome.
Good afternoon, distinguished participant. Thank you for your time, and thank you for this great opportunity. I am Tae-Hyung Kim, Commissioner of Invest Korea. Investment is all about the future. So let me start with where Korea is headed, and that would give us a clue why Korea makes sense. So, the President, early this year, March 15th at the 14th Emergency Economic Meeting, he had a clear message to deliver about nations' advanced technology leadership. The bottom line is critical in these turbulent times to stay ahead of the global competition. Therefore, it's also critical to continue our efforts to raise the bar and push the envelope. So where do we go from here? And today we are a number one in memory chips and number two in battery, and we're number one when it comes to a cathode manufacturing technology, and we are number one in OLED display, and number two in biopharmaceutical in manufacturing capacity, and number four in EV, and number one in industrial orbit usage. So you take a step back and think about number one here, number one there in the world. In the world, 195 countries, 8.1 billion people. And how many countries on earth you think could pull these things off? Maybe only one. That's Korea. So if you put it in the context of what has happened in 70 years with nothing on hand but ashes after the war, you would agree more than 200%. So where do we go from here? Here comes Korea's unwavering aspiration. Leading companies investment $422 billion by 2026. This will set the stage for the new chapter. Undistributed number one mega semiconductor cluster by 2042, number one battery by 2030, number one display by 2027, number three in EV by 2030, number one in CDMO is its contract development and manufacturing capacity. By the way, the Samsung Biologics, on a standalone basis, already number one with capacity of more than 600,000 liters. For robots, we'll continue to secure advanced technology with R&D support, and these are Korea's unwavering aspiration. So what's next? Companies need help for heavy lifting. The government will do exactly that. So this is what's going to happen next. 15 brand new state-of-the-art industrial complex across the nation, logic device, EV, bio, hydrogen, nuclear, SMR, space, you name it, 41 million square meters in total. It is truly Herculean task. Ministers, local government companies, all hands on deck, 24/7. Construction's expected to begin as early as second half of the 2025. The sites will be ready, expected to be ready in 2028. The government support for investment in advanced technology sectors. In a nutshell, for FDI, the cash grant up to 50%, tax credit up to 50%. The government will continue to fund R&D project with $131 billion by 2030, an annual average of $30 billion. The digital workforce development will bring a 1.26 million talent, including 150 semiconductor workforce through public-private partnership. Retraining and reskilling programs will transform the workforce in non-digital and non-green sectors into a workforce in digital and green sectors. This is what it will look like a global number one semiconductor cluster. The Samsung will make additional investment, $230 billion by 2042, will have a gigantic foundry for logic devices, 7.1 million square meters, 5 fabs, 10 fabless, 150 suppliers, together with one underway by SK Hynix, and existing facilities in Gihung, Hwaseong, Incheon, and Pyeongtaek. This cluster will make undoubtedly undistributed world number one semiconductor cluster. Is Korea capable of delivering the goods? Look at the economic fundamentals. Rock solid. Been there, done that. All weathered all perfect storms. 70s, 1997, 2008, and pandemic period. AA2 credit rating. Everything is summed up. How trustworthy the nation is in all aspects. 10th largest economy in the world, 6th largest in world trade, and superb innovation environment. Number one in R&D investment in OECD, public and private, as a percentage of GDP, close to 5%. The first class R&D talent, number of the R&D workforce per 1,000 people is number one. I'm talking about number one in the world. Number one in ICT infrastructure by all measures, by all indices for a long time, state of the art, up to speed, and who can ask for anything more? Korea is a small open economy, 110th in country size, 27th in population size, yet 85% of the global market, and first-class logistics hub at your fingertips. Incheon and Busan, global number 2 in international air cargo and transshipment cargo handling. Wherever you go, wherever you come from, the world is seamlessly connected to Korea, and everyone's life made easier, and so is yours. Genie's out of the bottle, taking the whole world by surprise. The movie, drama, music, K-pop, dance, food, fashion, beauty, pretty much everything about Korean culture makes the Korean access and link to global market even more dynamic, powerful, and attractive, and absolutely blows our mind. Korean Wave wins the hearts and minds of people, consumers, young, old, around the globe. Before pandemic, the Korea was nowhere near top 15 list in world's cultural influence ranking. Now, G7, on the move, on the rise. Look at the number of young generation coming into Korea. I don't have the recent number right now, but I guess number is way much bigger now. Investment in K-culture, investment in entertainment, and working together with Korean people is truly a game changer. Let me talk a little bit about sustainability. The NDC target is 40% from the level in 2018. Bold, ambitious, but 2030 is just around the corner. No turning back. Nuclear, renewable, EV, hydrogen, ESS, CCUS, all on the front burner. It's a challenging game plan, but it's clear pathway to net zero by 2050. The regulatory sandbox for new technology and innovation sectors are in full swing. Education reform addresses the digital workforce and talent development. Labor reform focuses on flexible and law and rule-based labor market. Pension reform, moving in the direction towards sustainable, stable social safety net. The president is in the driver's seat, and the government is stepping up and tackling challenges head-on. At the end of the day, the name of the game, work in progress, is sustainability and productivity. And digital transformation continues in public sector. I am so excited about the digital platform government, AI and big data based. 15,000 government issued paper documents, 15000, for the purpose of the license, permit, authorization, certification, registration, and so on, will disappear into thin air in 4 years by 2027, from 15,000 to 0. None. It's time to stretch your imagination. How productive business environment would be, zero paperwork with government, as opposed to a situation where you need a bunch of paperwork every step of the way. 2 countries, His Royal Highness and President working together, can take the momentum and the relationship, the level of cooperation and collaboration and trust to the next level and make an impact around the globe together. With that, I wish I had a crystal ball, but I hope one message today is crystal clear to all of you after this. Why Korea is no-brainer. Thank you.
Very bold vision indeed. Thank you, Tai Hyung Kim, for your valuable insights into the strategic approaches and also the technological advancements driving Korea's industrial sector and the sustainable future, of course. Next, we'll hear from the Vice President of HD Hyundai Construction and Equipment. Please join me in welcoming Jong Soo Byun. I hope I pronounced your name right. Welcome to the stage.
안녕하십니까. 안녕하십니까. 저는 HD 현대그룹 산하 HD 현대 건설기계의
charge of overseas
해외영업을
sales for
담당하고
HD
있는
Hyundai Construction Equipment, part of HD Hyundai Group. I'm responsible for emerging markets around the world. And Saudi Arabia is one of the top 3 most important markets for me. It's a very important market. Today, I have the opportunity to attend the 2023 Saudi Korea Investment Forum and present our business cooperation case in the presence of many great distinguished participants. It's my great honor to have this opportunity to be here today. These are the table of contents for my presentation. First, a brief introduction to the HD Hyundai Group. Second, the status and performance of our business in Saudi Arabia. Third, the success stories of our business cooperation in the region. Fourth, the visions and goals of HD Hyundai construction machinery business in Saudi Arabia. So let me start by introducing you the history of Saudi Arabia and Hyundai and give you a brief overview of HD Hyundai Construction and Equipment. In the past, in 1970s and 80s, during the industrial development era, so-called, that happened in Saudi Arabia and Middle East, Hyundai Group made a significant contribution to the economic development of the region through its advanced technology and skilled industrial workforce, especially in the construction sector. At the time, with a sense of responsibilities and hard-working ethic, Korean workers received a great evaluation. Nowadays, we continue to play important role as a partner in Saudi Arabia as it takes new leap forward by supplying construction machinery and equipment based on the future smart solutions and eco-friendly technologies. Born and grown out of Hyundai Group, HD Hyundai is comprised of shipbuilding, construction machinery, refining and energy, and electrical and electronic solution business. Formerly known as Hyundai Heavy Industry Group, the company celebrated its 50th anniversary in December last year and was rebranded as HD Hyundai to leap into the next 50 years with a new vision. HD Hyundai Group has 3 companies in the construction machinery business, and Site Solution, a holding company, and 2 subsidiary companies, Hyundai Construction Equipment and Hyundai Infracore. Hyundai Site Solution manufactures and sells industrial vehicles such as diesel, LPG, electric, forklift, and reach truck, including major components. Hyundai Construction Equipment and Hyundai Infracore manufacture and sell construction equipment such as excavators, wheel loaders, backhoe loaders, articulated dump trucks, and motor graders. Hyundai uses Hyundai brand, and Hyundai Infracore uses the Dibellon brand, each with its own unique design and sensibility. and we are trying to provide diverse services with great emotion to customers. Now, let me briefly touch upon the business performance. The unit is number of unit that we sold. As in other countries, demand for construction equipment in Saudi Arabia hit a low point during the corona pandemic in 2020. Since 2021, our market has seen a significant upturn as several large projects, including Neom City, have been implemented. Based on the past 3 years' performance, HD Hyundai has been the market leader with high market share in both its flagship models, excavators and wheel loaders, and is on the track to continue its momentum this year. K-pop and K-drama were introduced, but in Saudi Arabia, K-construction equipment, Caterpillar, or other brands are not even near our competitions. We are definitely number one. Let me elaborate. HD Hyundai Infracore and HD Hyundai Construction Equipment are working together in the Saudi Arabia market, expanding customers in their respective areas and collectively maintaining and strengthening HD Hyundai's number one market share position. 35% of the equipment we supply to the Saudi Arabia is used in Neom City project, serving as the main machine. If you go to the site, probably you have seen that Hyundai brand and Dibelon brand, these two excavators, are working hard day and night. Also, HD Hyundai is also the first company in Saudi Arabia to supply and operate equipment with Stage 5 emission control engines, realizing the spirit of Neom City project, green equipment, and smart solutions. We are playing leading role. In addition, there is a sales and parts center in nearby Dubai, which provides high-quality services and parts supply. Then, let me share with you some of the factors that have allowed HD Hyundai construction equipment to be so successful and effective in the Saudi market. HD Hyundai has developed competent and dedicated local dealers for both Hyundai Infracore and Hyundai Construction Equipment, and focuses on supplying equipment and providing services parts through these dealers. The dealers and HD Hyundai have built a strong partnership based on the mutual trust and interdependence by closely sharing market and customer information for the past 30 years, and we have depended each other, we have trusted each other, we have built a very strong, trustworthy relationship. I believe that long-term partnership is the key success factor. In addition, HD's modern technologically advanced equipment is equipped with features such as remote control, site management, eco-friendly solutions. HD Hyundai is utilizing digital solutions to provide customers with return on investment that exceed their expectation. Meanwhile, HD Hyundai has succeeded in diversifying its supply solutions by utilizing not only factories in Korea but also factories in China and India. This means that we are able to supply the optimal equipment at the optimal delivery time, reflecting the requirement of each customer as much as possible. Let me just add a few more explanations about Indian factory. It's located in Pumia, and it takes about 5 to 7 days from Indian port to Saudi Arabia. Therefore, we can immediately meet the needs of the customer. And also, our understanding on the Saudi Arabia's work site is very good. So, heavy specifications are the one that we provide, especially in a hard earth or soil area, we can work. So, the satisfaction level of the customer is really high. Major customers, once visiting Indian factory, the demand for the equipment produced by Indian factories are getting higher and higher, and there are more customers coming from different continents, including Africa, to Indian factory to take a look at our Hyundai heavy equipment and purchase them. Finally, in order to provide more immediate and high-quality service for our equipment in Neom City project, we have opened new service center in Dubai. In addition to our existing presence in Dubai, we have established a sales and service center in Neom neighborhood. Oksabon project nearby. We are operating our parts center, and right next to the line, we also operate our parts center, which will be completed before the end of this year. HD Hyundai understands Saudi Arabia's grand visions and dreams, and I dare say that we will play our part as a successful partner for them. HD Hyundai Construction Machinery Division will continue to provide high-quality equipment and provide smart technologies, including unmanned automation, remote control, and productivity management. We'll also contribute to training and localization as a partner for the great development of the Saudi construction machinery business. We want to be remembered by Saudi customers not just as the biggest seller, but as the most loved company, the most trusted company, and the best company. Last but not least, one more thing. I briefly mentioned that the destiny between Hyundai and Saudi started 50 years ago. Korean workers came to Saudi Arabia and showed hard-working ethic. That DNA is deeply rooted in Hyundai's equipment. On top of that, there's a smart solution. It's smart, intelligent, hard-working, and sincere equipment. And with that, for the next 50 years, Hyundai construction equipment will go hand in hand with Saudi Arabia to realize your vision. Thank you for your attention. Sukra.
Hyundai, the manufacturing powerhouse. Thank you, Jom Seok, for an insightful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to an engaging panel discussion titled The Future Cities. We will welcome a lineup of esteemed speakers who will delve into various sectors of focus, including construction, clean energy, and giga projects. Please join me in welcoming the moderator of this panel discussion, Fahad Al-Hashim, Real Estate General Manager, MISA. Welcome to the stage, Fahad. And his esteemed panelist, Engineer Msaad Al-Ataibi, Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation and Smart Cities, Ministry of Municipal Rural Affairs and Housing. Welcome to the stage. And Michael Ibbotson, Chief Technology Officer at Dir'iyah Gate Development Authority. Welcome to the stage. And we have Ra'ad As-Saadi, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Aqua Power. Michael Jong, Vice President, Samsung C&T. Jong Young Paik, Head of Robotics and Autonomous Driving at Naver Labs. A big round of applause to all our esteemed panelists, please. Welcome all. Fahad, I hand the mic to you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for being with us today. I believe we are missing a speaker. Engineer Msaad. Engineer Msaad should join us in a second, but while I do the introduction, I think he should be with us. Thank you everybody for being with us here today. on a truly interesting and I would call it a hot topic, but I would prefer to call it a sustainable, a green, a smart, and the topic of the future. When I was asked to moderate this panel, I looked over what is the future of cities. And I stumbled upon an interesting paper done by KPMG that listed 6 elements that define the future of cities. So in order to envision the future of our cities, we should be listening to new ways to put our citizen or the customer first. We should begin the journey with a clear destination. One size no longer fits all. And the focus of rebuilding should be to create greener and safer cities for all. We should be driving economic growth in a world of fiscal constraints through using a once-in-a-century opportunity to catapult us going forward. And the future of cities is definitely fully connected. So to start this subject, I will get to Michael first. Michael, as we all know, Dir'iyah is one of the giga projects. It is built on history. But to lean into the first topic we mentioned earlier, how are smart city innovations in Dir'iyah really are emphasizing people-centric sustainability? And what ways do these advancements alongside your LEED Platinum certifications support both sustainability and the preservation of the cultural heritage?
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you for inviting us today. It's wonderful to have an opportunity to talk to such an esteemed audience about the Dir'iyah project. We talk about Dir'iyah as a smart city, but I think I should just give you a few important numbers first. Dir'iyah is a $63 billion development, beautifully crafted around the centerpiece, which is the Tureif World Heritage Site. And it's also the birthplace of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the home of the Al Saud family. So with such an important history and an important meeting place for the world, it's really important that we develop it in a very sympathetic way that keeps in tie with tradition, but also allows it to be a modern smart city that's sustainable going forward. Dir'iyah is a huge undertaking, 14 million square meters of development. It's going to take the next 5 to 7 years, but through that time we're opening up assets and facilities all along the way. We like to think of it as an incredible opportunity for education. We're opening 9 museums. There's going to be around 10 schools. There's a number of iconic assets in the facilities, such as arenas and opera house, a real center for culture for Saudi Arabia and for Riyadh. With that in mind, we have to think very carefully about how we develop this as a smart city. There is a very historical architectural requirement to keep it in line with Najdi architecture. And that means not only do we have to put the smartest solutions in, they also have to be discreetly implemented into the infrastructure. This leads to lots of exciting and complex ways of doing things. But we also have to take care of that digital experience and the smart mobility of the future. Dir'iyah will be a pedestrianized city. Most of the transportation and utility infrastructure will be underground or hidden, leading to that great environment, taking advantage of the fantastic weather here in Saudi Arabia that in the summer it's very hot, but for the rest of the year, as you found today, the humidity is low here in Riyadh and the temperature is reasonable, and it's actually a great environment to be in. So we have to think about Diriyah as a sustainable city. We have to look at very complex and challenging issues such as control of water, how we use local materials, stone, mud, in its construction. It will be incredible to think that this modern facility will be built with mud bricks to take advantage of their sustainable properties and the materials. That obviously leads to lots of opportunities in design and also reigniting historical industries to create that. Our LEED certification that we got recently was something we're very proud of, platinum level LEED certification, which means that we've taken into account all of the sustainability aspects of building such a project. And we have looked at all of the requirements around water management, energy, sustainability, and our smart city environment requires an extremely integrated, holistic view of all the technology and how it works. So it's a very exciting project, and we're very, very proud to be part of delivering Saudi's vision.
Amazing stuff. Thank you, Michael. Now, let me switch up and take the view of the value chain. And welcome, Mr. Mosaad. You were caught up, but we're good to have you with us, to have a full set of a panel today. But I will go to Mr. Jung Yoon Paek. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Head of Robotics and Autonomous Driving at Naver Labs. Now, when we talk about the value chain, design comes first. And urban design used to be the domain of construction and civil engineering. But recently, it seems to be developing into a convergence of using various technologies. We've heard about some of them like BIM and many other new technologies, but what is a smart city in the eyes of an IT company? And how do you see, as the leading IT company in Korea, Naver's competitiveness in really delivering the vision of a future smart city?
Well, thank you for introducing Naver Company. First of all, as the city is more connected, as you mentioned, is being connected more and more as the technology develops, we believe that the core part of smart city should be the operating system, operating software. So we used to experience that many of city government or the public domain actually tries to build new services for civilians, citizens, but sometimes they fail. So more important thing is to provide them valuable data in the environment, software environment platform, so they can build their own proposed software. For example, when you try to provide mobility service, you need to gather the data comes from the real world, and you have to build a new service based on that data. So in terms of those ecosystem, it's more like a smartphone industry. So as you see in the smartphone, you use all the information coming from the smartphones, and you build a new application based on that. That should be done on the smart city level. So that's how IT industry is seeing the smart city as a service. And in terms of Naver's number one IT company in South Korea. We've been number one in more than 20 years in Korea, and we provided like a citizens-related various services since 20 years ago. And the reason why we actually Google is not the number one search engine in Korea. Naver is number one search engine. So we kept our internal market, domestic market, more than 20 years. It's been like proud of our citizens. And the reason why we can do that was we focuses on what local people's demand. So we've been focusing on our country's requirements. So that's the reason why we kept our domestic markets. So when a big tech companies try to expand their markets globally and try to build general purpose applications. But we focused on the more requirements of local people. So this is really related to smart city. Smart city has each city has each characteristics, their own specialties. So when you really want to build a really good service on the smart city, you have to focus it on the local service. So that's the strength of our neighbor company. And luckily we have discussed this. We actually have a base. So I'm sorry. So we actually have a common knowledge of this situations with the Minister of Momna right now. So we're discussing to develop digital twin platform as a smart city future operating system. So how we can use that for in Saudi Arabian country. So now we're developing those kind of industry and the market as well right now.
Amazing. And thank you for creating the segue for me. I'll turn into Engineer Musa'ad. And of course, the journey of future cities starts with a clear destination, and that comes with a strategy. What is the Saudi ambition when it comes to smart city? And can you share with us some of the examples of the work that you at Mumra are working, and what are the areas of collaboration, as we just heard from our colleague at Naver with South Korea?
Yeah. Actually, it is my honor and a privilege to be here in this valuable panel discussion. Yes. Actually, it's my pleasure and honor to be part of this valuable panel discussion regarding the smart city ambitions and our strategic toward activating a smart city solution in Saudi Arabia or in the Kingdom. Actually, we have very clear strategy is to integrate the technology with every aspect of the urban life and services that being offered to our citizens. The goal out of the Smart City Initiative is to enrich and increase the customer satisfaction and increase the quality of life. To implement that strategy, actually, we initiated a program with the ministry called the Smart Municipal and AI Program. This program is about activating more than 51 use cases of a smart city and deploying those use cases across 17 cities. One good example was with the smart waste management, which is a solution has been applied in Jeddah, increased actually the customer and citizen satisfaction in Jeddah, and also increased our operation efficiency when it comes to the cleaning services and industry. We are replicating this experience and making it available for 17 cities in Saudi Arabia. And one of the most powerful use cases of a smart city is about a smart command and control center. And when it comes to command and control center, it is about the visibility about what is going on in the city itself. Solutions like digital twin arise as the perfect fit for smart command and control center, and this is part of our active and maybe the active discussion and collaboration with Naver to bring those technologies and solutions to Saudi Arabia. And I think within next years we will see a successful outcomes out of this enablement.
Thank you, Engineer Musa'ad. Now I would like to switch up the topic. I'm going by themes. So the fourth theme is rebuilding to create greener and safer cities for all. So I'll go to Mr. Raad and really beg the question, when it comes to the transformation towards renewable energy, what are the enablers that are accelerating the pace of achieving renewable energy transition and carbon emission reduction?
First, let me comment on Diriyah. I'm happy to report that our new head office will be in Diriyah. It will be inspired by the Diriyah theme, but also, inshallah, will be the first net zero building in Saudi Arabia. That's quite an undertaking, as you can imagine, because being net zero means you try to reduce the amount of energy you use in that. And you know a lot of energy use in Saudi is for cooling. And how do you get around that? Through design, but also through how much renewable energy you use. So I just wanted to do that, touch base on Diriyah before we move to the topic. I think the reason ACWA Power exists today, if you would have come 15 years ago and said, where would the country thrive that will be one of the only company in the world that is the leader in desalination, leader in green hydrogen, and one of the leaders in renewable, maybe Saudi Arabia would not have been an immediate guess just because of our strength in conventional energy. But actually, the reason it succeeded is because of the regulatory regime. What the PPP model is, or the public partnership with the private sector, what it does is basically the public sector goes to the private sector and says, we'd like to do X program, can you do it more efficiently? That's effectively PPP. For that to happen, all we do is we go back to the public sector in any country in the world and we say, how can we de-risk this? Because the more you can de-risk a project, the more you can find favorable financing rate, overall lower risk, lower insurance. I think Saudi Arabia has excelled in that. I think our discussions with Saudi government have been very open books, and we've been able to privatize the desalination business, the renewable energy business, and now we have the world's only utility-scale green hydrogen project. So I think it starts and almost ends with government's outlook and government's ability to take decisions quickly and to reduce risk and to be business-friendly, for lack of a better term. And I think Saudi has been quite advanced. What we've done as ACWA Power is take that formula and go to countries outside. We're in many countries, as you know, and we say the same thing. We say, why don't we look at these projects? Here's what worked in Saudi. It's not going to fit everywhere, but let's see how we can find the model that works. And I think you'll find in Saudi Arabia, inshallah, this upcoming period, a lot more renewables. Already you're aware of the announced renewable program. Desalination, which is very important for this part of the world. We're also doing it more green now. And with green hydrogen, we think Saudi Arabia is going to be at the frontier of energy transition.
Amazing, thank you, Raad. Now we've spoke about design, smart city, energy. There has to be a way to build these future cities, and I don't think there's a better expert to tell us than Michael from Samsung C&T. How do you see the future cities in Saudi Arabia? I know you've had good experience so far on these projects, but could you tell us about just how are you observing these changes and how do you see these future cities? What is your directions and plans for implementation in Saudi as a global construction company focusing on really building futuristic cities?
So when we say future cities and we talk about smart cities, I think future cities will become more than that, really. It will become, we use the term cognitive city, city that thinks. Sometimes it's a scary concept, but it's the trend that's happening. And the cities, as we know, started with a cluster of inorganic structures. Now it's transforming into organic living environment with energy solutions, data exchange, interactions between different parties and people. I think the gigacities that are taking places, Vision 2030, is really is to respond to those changes, almost unavoidable. So that's where the gigacities are attracting the globe attraction, participation, and talent. It's all positive things. And those are the things that you really need most to deliver this challenging programs. Samsung CNT is in it with a commitment to deliver together. And we cannot do this alone. Samsung has done a lot of challenging jobs, but this is one of its kind. NEOM, Diriyah Gate, they're massive, challenging projects. But I believe it's doable. But we're together with capable Korean entities, along with capable Saudi organizations and partners entities. Korea and Saudi, they go way back. They have histories together. That's what it takes, the collaborations. And we know how to work together, because we have done that already. So based on the trust and the success history together, I think that's the only way we can do that. And it's not only Saudi and Korean collaboration efforts, it's going to be global collaboration efforts. So that's how we see it. And Samsung CNT is really good in terms of collecting those resources, talents, manage them, and also adding our resources, existing resources, make it bigger, create that synergy is what really absolutely necessary.
Amazing. Thank you, Michael. On that note, I'll turn to Engineer Musa'ad again, since we are purely constructing right now. So what are the opportunities that you see for Saudi and Korea to collaborate in the construction sector?
Yeah, actually, the construction sector is a vital component of our 2030 vision, where a lot of giga projects is being announced, and majority of them already started, and some of them is being already delivered, and we are expanding for the next period. So the construction as a sector is a critical component of our 2030 vision. Now, for the partnership or the potential partnership with Korea and the construction sector, I see a huge potential of this partnership based on our proven track record of history. We have already implemented a lot of projects together here in Riyadh. One of, like for example, King Saud University. We have mega projects in Riyadh, infrastructure, roads, and we have done it successfully in partnership with Korea. So we are able to take this to the next level with the new vision of co-creation for more into innovative solution with emerging tech, taking the construction and the technology together to bring huge value for the benefits of both countries. So I think the potential is there, the trust is there, the previous experience is there. So I think we can make a lot out of this engagement and out of this demand.
Thank you, Engineer Musa'ad. Now I'll turn again to Mr. Raad, and I will ask you about what are the engagement areas of cooperation with other countries that would enable real estate investments and its corresponding value chains that we are covering some here, and the impact on carbon emission avoidance and reduction. How do you view this equation?
Well, the good news is it's not magic. It's something that's very doable. It's something that started happening already. But I think the magic, the aspect that is the secret that will do it, make it happen faster, is localization. Today, a big part of your emissions that is, I think, underappreciated is the transportation aspect of it. And if you can bring the supply chain closer to Saudi Arabia, you reduce the amount of transportation and you reduce the amount of emissions. Plus, a lot of the projects now are taking longer than they should because of the supply chain. If you look at a lot of our projects today, and immediately the question becomes, why can't we do it faster? It's happening so much faster in other parts of the world. And I think it's because the localization needs to move faster. Once it moves faster, you'll find that projects happen faster, jobs are created more, which will create demand again, which will create further projects, and with scale, with less transportation, you'll find less emissions, more job creation, and frankly, it's a no-brainer. You're looking at a G20 country with the highest GDP growth last year. The market is here. There is a market. Because I don't blame companies that are looking at so many opportunities to localize, but I think localization in Saudi Arabia will create immediate dividends for companies. So we're motivating a lot of the partners we're working with to go beyond the criteria that's given. In some sectors, you see a criteria of local content of 40%. We're trying to achieve much higher than that where possible, because it will create that cycle in the economy, which will create demand again, which will feed jobs, feed into income, and feed into reduced emissions.
Amazing. Thank you, Rad. I'll go back to Michael again. And since we spoke about construction in the kingdom, we spoke about supply chain and value chain. Recently, there has been a lot of changes in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, whether it's the economy, society, the culture, and even the markets, including construction becoming a very vibrant and active segment of the economy. As an international company and a prominent South Korean company or Korean company in Saudi, how do you view these changes? It's good for us to see it from your point of view.
I think it's all very positive, especially the construction changes. I think we've been doing business in Saudi for the past 2 decades. Even before that, we were here. And it has made a great improvement. I hope that there could be more flexibility in terms of the contracting methodologies, and also faster decision making, maybe in terms of the procurement. So those 2 things we could always use in terms of the social, cultural changes, and especially with the resources, local resources. It's very positive, and it's happening very fast. And the Saudization and local content requirements, we're all for it. We've been doing business, like I said, for the recent past 2 decades. Samsung C&T is known for technology transfer and localization, really, with training centers that will be built and stay within that particular country. Saudi is no exception. It's extremely positive. We take it, and we're just glad that we're part of that whole dynamics. We would like to continue to make that contribution going forward. I don't think Vision 2030 should stop at 2030. I think it should go on. Will become 2040, 2050. So we would like to be there for that changes.
Thank you, Michael. I think we are all looking forward to a joint vision between Saudi and Korea, even beyond 2030. I would like to go back to Michael. We went through energy, we went through modernization, we went through the construction phase. Now, in the midst of this rapid modernization, how is the Diriyah company ensuring the harmonious blend of historic preservation and demands of contemporary living for both residents and visitors? Because that's a key component to balance in the cities of the future.
Yeah, indeed. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Diriyah is an incredible project because it's got so many different aspects to it. It's going to be an amazing tourism destination. So we're going to have millions, hopefully by 2050, 30 million visitors coming through Diriyah every year. But we're also going to have over 100,000 residents who live in Diriyah. And then, again, hundreds of thousands of people who come through Diriyah to work. And then our events schedule is also incredible as well. We are the centerpiece of the Saudi Founders Day celebrations when all the eyes of the country is on us on February 22nd. So we have to think about how we operate these facilities. We have to think about how we adapt them for all of these different customers who will come through our facilities and all of these incredibly different events that will happen. So the types of services and solutions and things that we need to have. So for example, there'll be over 40,000 car parking spaces underneath Diriyah. But at any particular time for specific events or activities, those car parking spaces need reallocating between offices, residential, the arena, or big cultural events like Founders Day, or big international events like the Formula E Grand Prix that we have. Which leads to a very dynamic situation, how you operate the roads, the car parks, ticketing systems. All of these things create very different dynamics that you have to consider and adapt to. So one of the key things for us about being a smart city, it's not just about how sustainable we are in terms of energy. It's not just how we manage the flow of water and the experiences that our residents have. It's also about how we adapt the facilities to meet the demands of all the events and other things that happen. Make these facilities flexible so that they can be used in different ways at different times of the year. We're working really hard on how we design these facilities and how we build the city. So it's not only sustainable, it's not only has the culture and heritage that obviously everybody's looking for from Diriyah, but it also has that flexibility to adapt to being a modern space when needed. The other thing that we're doing, which is really important, is how we're nurturing local people, Saudi talent into our organization. Across all the Diriyah business lines and units, different aspects of what we do, we have over 85% of our staff are Saudis, which is an incredible number. Over 30% are female, and over 16% of our managerial and leadership team are also female. We have a reasonable size expat workforce as well, who are bringing in certain experiences and talents. And it's by adapting to and learning from all of those different people and their different needs and requirements that we're able to develop Diriyah into being this incredible, livable city for the future, whilst also harnessing and being very clear about where Saudi Arabia came from and preserving the past.
Okay. Quick and last question. Just to take us from Junggong to take us to the future. We heard about the Neighbors Headquarter Building 1784. If you could just in 2 minutes tell us what that's all about.
Right. If you think about the future city, you cannot think without robotics and autonomous driving technology or augmented reality. These future features are there in our headquarter building in Neighbor, and actually we've been building that technology components by ourselves, and this is really our proud of ourselves. And actually a lot of Minister of MCIT, Minister of MUMRA officers came to our headquarter building to see these new technologies, and that comes to a more bright futures to collaborate with. So that's something I can express in a very short time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To all my panelists, we are definitely looking forward to the cities of the future, looking forward to build the cities of the future and to manage them. Ladies and gentlemen, if you courtesy us by giving a round of applause to our lovely panelists here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. What a thought-provoking discussion, unlocking new opportunities for both nations. Ladies and gentlemen, from the future cities to the future industries, this session will be moderated by Sang-Hoo Chin, the CEO of Colin World Investment. Welcome to the stage. So please join me in welcoming the esteemed panelists for this session. Bandar Zahran, Vice President, Advanced Manufacturing, National Industrial Development Center, and hello, and George Schussler, CFO of SEER, Mohammed Al-Rashid, CEO of Saudi Greenhouses, Jong Seo-pan, Vice President, Hyundai Motor, Jong Chang Kim, Chief Strategy Officer, Megazone Cloud. Welcome all. I pass the mic to you, Sang-Hoo.
Sorry. 우리 현대모터스의 한중섭 상무님 계십니까? 나오십시오. 오케이. His Excellency, the President of Korea, will arrive. Actually, panel 2 supposed to finish by the 5:50, but now already 5:52. So we are going to the session directly without explanation. Okay. First, I want to introduce Mr. Bandar Zahran. He's Executive Vice President, Advanced Manufacturing Industrial Center. And then Mr. Han Jung-sop, he's a Vice President of Hyundai Motors. And then Mr. Yok Sruser, CFO of Sales Motors. And Jong-chan Kim, Crowd Technology Strategist of the Megazone Crowd. And Mr. Mohammed Al-Rashid, he's a CEO of Saudi Greenhouse. First, Mr. Bandar Zahran, Industrial Center, will introduce about the Industrial Center, what kind of benefit and incentive offering to Korean companies to invest. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Mr. Shin. The Industrial Center provides basic services for the investors and for the international investors worldwide, including the local ones as well. Those services help them do business easier in Saudi Arabia. I will name them quickly in sequence without going to further explanation. The first service is information exchange, where we provide data regarding the local market for the international or local investors. The second one is matching. We do support businesses get matched to either local funds or local technologies, locations, clusters, or business partnerships. The third service that we provide is reviewing their business case before they take their go-no-go decision in the feasibility study that they have studied about the project they want to do in Saudi Arabia. We review their input parameters. Maybe there is something that we can improve. Maybe there is a program in the kingdom that will support their business case. The current project that we are working on in Saudi Arabia and outside Saudi Arabia is to teach and learn at the same time between the global partners and the companies working in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. And Mr. Han, for the Hyundai, the Motors, after the session and after the president comes here, they are going to sign the joint venture agreement with the PIF. So the question is, we heard you are going to sign the joint venture agreement, but what is the contents? What is the detail? Please.
네, 현대자동차와 사우디의 국부펀드 PIF는
Let me
자동차 공장
explain
설립을
about the
위한
PIF that we do.
Ladies, don't use the earphone.
네,
So
이어폰을
anybody
착용해
who
주시기
translate
바랍니다. 누구든지 한국어에서
English, can you come up here to translate, if possible? If no, we'll go. Go ahead.
현대차는 사우디 국부펀드 PIF와 자동차 공장 설립을 위한
In order to
합작
establish
계약을 체결합니다.
auto factory, Hyundai Motor will sign MOU within the Middle East. This will be the first factory, and also this is the first joint venture that we'll be doing with Saudi Arabia. We have high expectation that we will contribute. Total investment amount will be about 500 million. ICE and EV model will be manufactured. The capacity will be 50,000 units. That is our plan. Localizations of the parts and also technology.
범아랍 자유무역지대 수출도 추진할 계획입니다. 합작 회사의 지분 구조는 PIF
70%, Hyundai Motor 30%, and approval and over administration will be completed by the early next year. The groundbreaking ceremony will begin. Until it's completed, we will do our utmost effort to complete the factory constructions, and we ask for your active support. On top of that, all countries will be enjoying the tax benefit, and once again we have a high expectation in Saudi Arabia's tax incentive schemes.
Most of you don't understand Korean, so I will just summarize. They are going to sign the contract for the joint venture agreement with PIF 70, Hyundai 30. And they are going to invest $500 million from next year. And they are going to produce EV and like traditional car, 50,000 the cars per year first as initially. And early next year, they are going to start building the factory and finish 1.5 years, and then produce 50,000 the cars per year first. Thank you. And then again about the motors. So Mr. Jörg Schussler introduced about a success story of Seat cars.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. I think it's a bit too early maybe to talk about the success, but let me talk about Sear's road to success that we are on. First of all, it's of course a great opportunity to speak today in front of the audience here visiting from Korea, a country which has a great track record when you look at how the automotive manufacturing developed, nowadays being one of the largest automotive manufacturers in the world. And of course, thank you again to MISA, Ministry of Investment. It's a great platform, especially for a young company as Sear, bringing the public and the private sector together, allowing us to interact with potential partners while showcasing investment opportunity in Saudi Arabia. Sear is Saudi Arabia's first electric vehicle brand. We have been announced by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince in November of 2022 as a joint venture between the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia and Foxconn of Taiwan. It is our mission to develop and create a portfolio of battery electric vehicles fully designed, developed and manufactured in Saudi Arabia, ultimately distributed in Saudi Arabia in the wider region. I mentioned, of course, the ambition in terms of timing, and you've seen many other projects earlier today, which clearly highlight that all projects are moving at a great speed in Saudi Arabia. So does Sear. To allow and to expedite the automotive development process, we entered into a technology partnership with BMW. This allows us access to BMW's platform to some of their latest electric vehicles in their portfolio, which is clearly a head start in terms of automotive development, while we still have the opportunity to induce our own innovations, features of great relevance to the customers here in the region, and basically also have our own design language in this first vehicle generation. I mentioned Foxconn before. Foxconn is not only a minority shareholder in our joint venture, they are also developing the vehicle electric and electronic architecture, which will allow Sear to become a segment leader when it comes to autonomy, infotainment, and connectivity. When zooming out from the company and trying to put it into perspective from a national context, Sear is part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, and it fits to the public investment fund's activities of investing into growing industries, diversifying the economy in Saudi Arabia. When you look at the economic impact, we will attract $150 million of foreign direct investment, contribute over $8 billion of direct GDP to Saudi Arabia by 2034. And one of our visions is, of course, becoming a sustainable national automotive company, igniting the automotive industry while creating jobs, especially for Saudi talent. This is also one aspect of the company which will see us creating over 30,000 direct and indirect jobs in the automotive industry.
Thank you, York. Anyway, because of the time, we go to the next and then we maybe return back. A little difficult one. Mr. Jongchan Kim from the Megazone Cloud, he's the strategist for the cloud. So introduce yourself. I'm in the Megazone Cloud. And what are you doing in Korea? I mean, doing in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Megazone Cloud is a cloud managed service provider. So this is a short slide about cloud computing and cloud managed service provider. So please, next slide. So can you go to the next slide? So we do understand Saudi has a pretty strong nationwide vision named the Saudi Vision 2030. So we truly hope this vision will be successfully accomplished. So I just want to explain about cloud computing. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers and servers, you can access technology services such as computing power, storage, and databases. In this room, maybe someone has some understanding about AWS and Azure, then you can easily understand about some global cloud service provider in this slide. Then, what is Cloud MSP is doing? So, based on global cloud services, we are providing some consulting, implementation, optimization, and managed service for the business customers for their infrastructure, platform, application, and data. So that is our business, the model, and based on more than 11 years experience in Korea, we'd like to define our company as the business, digital business creator for the customer to realize digital transformation for the customer and create digital value for their business model. So the Megazone, our mother company, was founded from 1998, and we started the first cloud business with the Google Apps business at 2009, and in 2012 we started the first AWS partner business in Korea as a first partner in Korea, and still we are number one cloud MSP in Korea, even APAC region with AWS business. And 2018, in order to focus on more cloud business, the Megazone Cloud was spawned from the Megazone. So, and last year, August 2022, we got the Series C funding. So it was a time for us to be recognized as the first unicorn, the company in the cloud industry in Korea. So we have a headquarters office in Korea and regional office in Japan, China, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Australia, US, and Canada. And we have a plan to build some the partnership company or our own company in MENA region, like Saudi Arabia or other country near here. So that's why we are attending the forum, and also we attended the GITEX last week. We attended that the expo from last year and this year as well. So I think there are several collaboration areas with Saudi Arabia. We can jointly establish a cloud MSP business in this country based on the experience, and also we can lead some digital transformation for Saudi Arabian companies, and having some chance to build the legal entity here. I think we can hire and train some human resources for digital transformation in Saudi Arabia. And we have a very strong vision about the quantum computing over cloud industry. So we think that we can jointly develop the quantum computing technology and quantum data center here in Saudi Arabia with the partnership. That is the area we can think about or explore with the Saudi Arabian companies.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. And then now about the food security, Mr. Mohammad Al-Rashid from the Saudi Greenhouse. And would like to ask about the future of greenhouse business in Saudi Arabia and smart farming.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure to be part of the Saudi Korean Investment Forum. And Saudi agribusiness has very big potential. If we go back to history, the greenhouse started in 1980. And since then, the development is very big with the support of the government and the support of the Ministry of Environment and Water and Agriculture. I think with the new mega project in Saudi, like NEOM, like Red Sea, I think the demand for fruit and vegetable is big. Potential is huge. If we see now the country is self-sufficient in different crops, like cucumber, melon, potato, carrots, above 80%. Tomatoes still 67%. I think the future is big, and I don't see why we don't invest a lot in greenhouses. The demand is big, and the future is bright.
Yes, we understand the future is bright, but then how do you think cooperation with the Korean, like smart farming companies?
The Korean smart farms, they have very good technology, and I think what we expect from the Korean is to transfer the technology to Saudi and develop a business together and do training and technology transfer to Saudi. And I think vertical farms are very good for the Saudi climate. If we consider hygiene for produce and also water saving. So I think it's very good. The future is big also for vertical farms and Korean companies here.
Thank you, Mohammed. Anyway, since Hyundai Motors here, also Sears Motors, and also about the smart farming and also cloud. So if you have any question from the floor, time to ask a question, because the operator asking us to finish quick. So any question? No question? Any other things to comment? Any other things?
Thank you, Mr. Shen, for the opportunity to add a little bit of a comment. South Korea is a great nation. They are well advanced in technologies. Their companies are reputable all around the world. I do believe that Saudi Arabia have a good opportunity to learn and to collaborate with the Korean companies to work in Saudi Arabia. From what we've seen into the global market and into the dynamics of the geopolitical aspects, we do need to work together to achieve better efficiency and better yields and grow together in the whole global economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bandar, and thank you, everybody. And then we will close session till now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for this great session. Honestly, it was a very dynamic, engaging exchange of ideas and insights.
네, 감사합니다. 잠시 후 특별 세션을 위해 대한민국 윤석열 대통령님께서 입장하실 예정입니다. 이를 위해 잠시 장내를 정리하겠습니다. 참석자 여러분들께서는 가급적 장 내에서 대기해 주시기 바랍니다.
إذن حضورنا الكرام بعد قليل سنبدأ مراسم حفلنا بحضور فخامة الرئيس وقيادات من الجانب السعودي والجانب الكوري. الرجاء منكم الجلوس في مقاعدكم أو حتى البقاء معنا في هذه القاعة. شكرا لكم.